And now it's time for another edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. With your host, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice. This is the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity. And welcome one and all to episode 313, the Bengals edition of your 12th Man Fan Jam show, the show made up of Seahawk fans from around the world just like you, talking about your Seattle Seahawks. Over the next few moments we share together, we hope that you are entertained as we discuss your Seattle Seahawks as they prepare to take on those Cincinnati Bengals. So sit back, relax, grab a desired beverage or scent of your choice, and remember, We Day! As is the usual with every show, we're not alone. We are joined, like we are every episode, by our 12th Man Fan Jam posse, a ragtag group of diehard Seahawk fans from around the world. First, my partner in crime, he's no longer sleeping. The yin to my yang. He has plenty of English toilet paper from merry old England. Please welcome back to the show the triumphant return of Matt.
Pick it up. Hello.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
I'm really good, actually. Can I just say to all the listeners, yes, I am very sorry. Last week, I did sleep through the show. I did wake up just enough time to give Moses my predictions and all that lot. Yes. Fat lot of good it did me, and we'll hear about that later. But yes, I didn't sleep through. I am here today. Thanks very much, and I'm very sorry, everybody.
Well, let's be fair. Now, to be fair to Matt, when we record this show, it's like 3 a.m. where he's at. So let's give him a little break there. So, that's what I told him. I'm sorry. I was like, dude, it's 3 a.m. We understand. So Matt, completely understandable. But we're so glad you're here. Welcome back. We missed you, my friend.
I missed you guys too.
All right. Coming back also from the state of Washington, our very own news hound. His 12-man editorials can be found on the SeahawksSal.com website. He's the tiger in our tank. You know him as Shadowhawk. We know him as Will. Hi, Will.
Hi, Moses. Feeling kind of weird, I feel like my Seahawks are stuck in the land of Oz. They're just playing lions and tigers and bears.
Oh, my.
Oh, my.
I should have had George Takei on the show.
Nice.
Oh, my.
Oh, my.
Matt does that disturbingly well.
You know what? That's a lot of practice. So, if you think about this, the way this is going, the way that Moses does the show sometimes, and he sounds like Captain Kirk, I can do Sulu, he can do Captain Kirk. Some of you guys need to start stepping up on your bones and your Captain Scotts. That's what you need to do.
Oh my!
I can't do it, Captain. You'll overlook the lithium crystals.
And please,
Dustin, you could be a triple.
Oh man!
Easy to memorize my lines that way, though.
Yeah.
Oh Lord! Right, somebody got to be a red shirt.
Mark.
Mark's our red. Mark, you can be our red shirt. Oh my God. Okay, hey, speaking of Dustin and Mark, let's introduce them. Welcome to the posse from the state of Washington, short in stature, big in Seahawk positivity, known as X-Ray Hawk to some. We call him Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hey, I really can't add much. You can just move past it.
Good night, everybody.
You just listed all his best bits.
My court case will come up Tuesday. All right. And then, as we mentioned, from the Hotel California, behind enemy lines, surrounded by 49ers, making a fortune selling gas masks door to door, please welcome Statsman Mark.
Did he say enemy limes?
Like killer tomatoes.
It's one of those shows.
For the record, how much coffee have you drank this morning?
I just had the one. It was just a very, very big mug. That was all.
Hey everybody. It's funny. The offensive line issues for the Seahawks have become such common knowledge that my favorite webcam model was asking me how hard the Cincinnati Bengal defense is going to penetrate us this Sunday. So.
Oh, Mark. If anybody wants to, if we should start a GoFundMe for Mark for his hobby.
And I told her it could be 100 tokens worth if we're not careful.
Oh my God. We'll put her on hold because we got a show to do. We got serious business here. And let's get to our show. For those who have listened before, thank you very much, and please hang with us. For those who are listening for the first time, don't worry, it's not always like this. We promise we'll be gentle, but be careful. Cam Chancellor may be waiting to knock you senseless. Shows run just like a real NFL football game. We have 4 quarters and even a halftime. Quarter one, will catch us up on all the news around the NFL. Then between quarters, we'll have a 60-second rant from Mark. Quarter two, we'll recap, obviously, that Monday night game against the Lions. And we'll have a new caption that picture, as we do every week. We take a picture from that game, and we put our own captions to it. Our 2-minute warning, we'll take a look back at last week's predictions, prognostications, and game balls. Halftime brings my favorite part of the show, and it's the best Seahawk-themed play-along game on the internet. It's a game that you can play along as well. 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia. We'll put the questions up on the screen. You can play along. It's a lot of fun for me because I get to ask the questions. The guys, I'm not so sure. But anyway, Mark's returning champ. Mark, you feel like defending your crown this evening?
I do. I'm channeling the power of Matt's guesswork, and I've been pulling it off for 2 straight times. So
spectacular. At quarter three, we have, of course, our drink of the week. Injuries, stats, and lines. All everything you need to know going into this Sunday's game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And then in the fourth quarter, we put all that together. We make our own predictions, our own prognostications, our own game balls, along with a special guest. And we have another special guest for this show that made a prediction, prognostication, and game ball. I'll save that for the fourth quarter. But before we start our show, we'd like to remind you, please like, share, and subscribe to the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. Contact us on this thread or comment section of this video or feedback, or email us at 12thmanfanjam@gmail.com. Tell us what you think. Please join our Facebook group, 12th Man Fan Jam Show. We have lots of Seahawk discussions and lots of fun on there. All of our shows are posted on there. Come join the fun. Twitter, Seahawk Positivity. And without further ado, let's get started with the first quarter and news. Yes, news from around the NFL while you were out batting balls out of bounds. Here's our 12th Man Fan Jam news hound, Shadowhawk Will, with the news, brought to you by the sponsor this evening, the Cam Chancellor punching bag, now available in Calvin Johnson size. What you got for us, Will?
Well, Moses, my first story is something that I will never personally experience, but Washington Redskins rookie running back Matt Jones did last week. You see, Jones is one of the players in the NFL who has really long hair that sticks out the back of his helmet. And Eagles defensive tackle Fletcher Cox tackled him by the hair last week. Quote Jones, "He just grabbed a handful of my hair. I just felt the whole momentum of it, of him pulling my hair, but it didn't hurt or nothing. I just didn't feel it. My neck was a little sore after the game, though. Probably because of that."
I guess.
Jones says he's not ready to get a haircut, but some of his fellow teammates are cautioning him to maybe change it a little bit. Defensive lineman Ricky Jean-Francois said, quote, "When the hairstyle becomes part of the uniform, man, you got to start tucking it, braiding it, do something." Hopefully this week he ties him up. If you don't, hey, I hope he don't have no patches in his hair.
Interesting.
Now, that is, I watched a thing on that, and that is actually legal. You can grab them by the hair and tackle them. Now, you get a penalty if, I know somebody a couple years ago tackled somebody and then they pulled up on it, like after they hit the ground, and then they pulled. That was a penalty, because not because he used the hair, but because he, like, it's almost like you tackle him and then you do it again. That's what they got the penalty for. But it's totally legal to grab a guy by the hair and tackle him.
Well,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say they consider that part of the uniform. So I remember when there's a few years ago where a guy was leaning over. He was laying on the ground, but he hadn't been touched. But his hair actually hit the out of bounds marker, or it hit the the ground out of bounds, and they counted him as being out of bounds because his hair touched the ground, even though no other part of him did.
I was going to say, Brandon Browner got tackled by the junk, if I remember correctly. So, you can't sit there and really moan too much about having some weave pulled out. Just
That was the Atlanta game, I believe, was it not?
It was, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can always cut your hair. With Brandon Browner, he may just have to live with that sort of thing every now and then.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get past the fact that Ricky Jean-Francois wants players to tuck it in. Ricky Jean-Francois.
It puts the lotion on his skin.
Yeah. I would date me. I'd sleep with me. Would you sleep with me? But He wants players to tuck it in. I'm loving
Is that like
it.
Louis Armstrong?
It definitely wasn't Buffalo Bill, that's for sure.
Oh my God!
Wonderful
Yeah,
world.
Buffalo Bill. Ricky G. I'm gonna call it Ricky Jean. Ricky Jean. Ricky Jean wants players to
Jean
tuck
is
it
not
in.
my lover.
He's not my
Ricky
lover.
Jean is
Oh
not
my
my-
God, Michael
So-
Jackson and my French accent on the first story. Will, how can he possibly top that?
Well, Moses, my next story is about now former Dolphins head coach Joe Philbin. And to be honest, I pretty much saw this day coming as soon as I saw him on Hard Knocks a couple years ago and thought there's no way this man is going to be an NFL head coach for long. He actually made it longer than I thought, but Saturday's practice before last week's game in London kind of demonstrated how the players really were not listening to him. Philbin had told the defensive players to take it easy during that practice so that the offense could work on getting its timing down, which understandable, day before a game, you don't want to run too hard, but linebacker Chris McCain was still practicing aggressively and was getting several members of the scout team to aggressively go after the first string offense. Making matters worse, McCain got into a shouting match with Ryan Tannehill, who told him that he made a crack about giving McCain a scout team trophy and collecting a scout team paycheck.
Whoa!
So yeah, definitely some discord in Miami, and interim head coach Dan Campbell is not going to take that lying down. He said on Monday that during his introductory press conference that he wanted to see more competitiveness on his team. Well, he opened Wednesday's practice, his first as head coach, by having the offense and the defense go through Oklahoma drills. Which, if you've not seen Hard Knocks, specifically the Bengals edition, an Oklahoma drill is when you get two players lined up against each other and go full bore into either try to block the defensive player or try to tackle the offensive player.
Oh, I'm so glad you said something, because you said Oklahoma drill, and I figured it would wind up with somebody kissing their sister or something. I didn't.
No,
I was
that's
confused.
the West Virginia drill.
Oh, okay. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, Oklahoma drill, most teams don't do it at all. Hardly any teams do it during the season. It's a good way to get hurt. But Then again, if you want your team to stop whining and start playing better, maybe it's the way to go.
Maybe it is. Mark, what did you think when you heard Oklahoma drill?
I thought maybe they had kissing cousins in Oklahoma as well.
I think so. Yeah.
Not just Kentucky.
I was gonna go. I was gonna go out front on my porch and grab a beer and take my shirt off and unzip my fly, put my hand down my pants, and just sit on a rocking chair, rock back and forth. Isn't that the Oklahoma drill right there?
Isn't that why you were late this evening, Moses?
Yeah. I saw a few of those.
Oh, dear.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, I think it's just, he's got to set or attempt to set some kind of tone. I mean, that team was a sleeper, kind of a trendy AFC pick, and it's unraveling, but there's several teams that are just unraveling already. It's been a weird season.
I love the story that went with that whole Tannehill thing, though, because apparently they ran a play and he was intercepted, so they then reset again to run the play again, and the same player did exactly the same thing and intercepted him twice, and just Ryan Tannehill lost it.
Well, you know why he lost it, Matt?
What's
He
that?
lost it because your stupid toilet paper over there in England, man.
What the hell was that?
That's
all
what the
about?
problem is.
Who flies in 350 bloody rolls of TP for
The
Christ's
Jets,
sake?
baby.
Not the Dolphins,
And hey,
obviously.
who won that game? That's all I'm saying.
It was. I mean, there's nothing wrong with our toilet paper. It's perfectly soft enough. Little bit razor edge. Got to be a little bit careful because you can get a paper cut if you go at the wrong angle. But other than that, it's fine.
Way too much information about English toilet paper. But that's
Quite
why
frankly, I'm
Tannehill's-
starting to side with the Jets now.
Yeah, see? Yeah, I am too. We're not going that. But that's why the Dolphins are so testy. That's why Tannehill's so testy, because of the toilet paper in England.
Well, the British are so uptight. I tell you this.
There you go. You guys only need like 2 or 3 squares and you're good. But
yeah.
Wow, interesting developments in Dolphins land, and like Mark said, that's a team that a lot of people thought was going places, and it's just kind of laying there like a dead fish. Pardon the fun, but there you go. Like dolphin safe tuna, I guess. What's your last story for the evening, Will?
Well, Moses, I was disappointed because after the last 2 weeks, I was really hoping for another Bart Scott story.
Weren't we all?
He disappointed though. There was no good Bart Scott quotes, but I've always got the Dallas Cowboys to fall back on.
You got Manziel, you got the Cowboys. What more could you ask?
Well, there's always somebody I can count on, and it's the Cowboys rarely disappoint. And in this case, it was Greg Hardy, who his suspension has been lifted. He's eligible to play starting this weekend. Mm-hmm. And he had kind of an interesting take on that when asked by ESPNDallas.com if he was going to need time to adapt to his new team and the new environment. He said, "I hope not. I hope I come out guns blazing."
Yikes.
Which is not the best choice of words for somebody who was arrested for domestic violence by throwing his ex-girlfriend onto a couch full of guns and threatening to kill her.
Exactly.
That just meant he was serious, that's all. He was really serious about it.
This story goes on. When talking about the Patriots on a different interview, he said, "I love seeing Tom Brady. He's cool as crap. Have you seen his wife? I hope she comes to the game. I hope her sister comes to the game. All her friends come to the game. One of my favorite games of the year, guys." Then the reporter told Hardy that Jaguars quarterback Blake Bortles probably has an attractive wife as well. "Is she?" Hardy said. "This kind of information is important. That's how I select my Pro Bowls."
Oh my God!
It gets better. Because, of course, Jerry Jones was asked about Greg Hardy's comments. He said, regarding Hardy's guns ablazing comment, he said, "We all know that's just a way of expressing yourself since you're not allowed to have guns on the football field," which is probably a good thing. When informed about Hardy's comments about Tom Brady's wife, Jones said, quote, "When I saw him marry Giselle, Tom went up in my eyes 100%. She's very, very attractive, and it shows what an outstanding individual Tom is."
What?
So, I don't know what's going on in the water down in Dallas, but yeah.
Real quick, just a real rough Reader's Digest version of Greg Hardy. Assaulting a female. Apparently, this is just hearsay, alleged to have assault with ex-girlfriend, grabbed her, threw her onto the furniture with the guns, like he says, strangling her and threatening to kill her. That's kind of the short version. This isn't, oh my God, this is, wow. And then to make the comments he made. I mean, honestly, Matt.
Stupid. I mean, you just sit there and you have to just wonder in amazement at just how unbelievably stupid someone is to have that sort of that statement after what he's been through. But I mean, I love the idea that Jerry Jones can measure the mettle of a man from understanding who he marries. I think that's interesting.
Yes, apparently good people marry attractive people.
Because I would have thought that Jerry Jones would equally be able to measure the mettle of a man via the glory hole, which he's so famous of. So
I know.
Ah, yes, the good old glory hole days. He needs himself some glory hole.
At least he didn't say that Giselle reminded him of those days.
Yeah. Remind me of the glory hole days. Oh, God. He still loves glory hole, bless his heart.
Yeah.
And we love him for it. Yeah.
Honestly, listeners, if you get the chance, go back and watch that news conference again, and you'll just hear the snickering of laughter throughout the whole thing. It's hilarious.
And he has no idea why people are laughing. Nope, that's my favorite part. Jerry Jones looking around like, why are they laughing at glory hole? And Google that up, and you didn't hear it from me, but Google up glory hole, and you'll understand why.
Do it with the safe search option on.
Yes, please.
And not at your place of work.
No, absolutely not.
That's Jerry's idea of 4th and inches, I guess.
Oh.
Woo! Wow. 4th and inches. Well, I think we are going to punt in this case. Thank you, Will, once again for wonderful news stories.
Anytime, Moses.
And that'll take us in the first quarter.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
We are at the end of the first quarter. Lots of shows still ahead. We're going to play halftime trivia. We're going to preview the Bengals game, but after this break, it's the second quarter, and we're going to look back on that Lions Monday night game coming up next.
Well,
And now it's time for a 12th Man Fan Jam 60-second rant.
You know you make me wanna
Rant.
I don't want to get off on a rant here.
Hello, everybody. This is Zorn76, aka Mark, with the Seahawks rant. And what I'm going to talk about briefly is the quarter grade, the first 4 games grade for the Seahawks. And at this point, I'm giving our beloved Seahawks a C+, which sounds harsh, but I believe is realistic. 2 home games that were wins against teams we were expected to beat, although the last one was very sketchy. And 2 road games, one against a very good team, the other against an up-and-coming Rams team that we had a very good shot at winning and did not do. Moving forward to start the second 4 games, we are in Cincy, and our offensive line is going to have to step it up. It's a tiresome topic, but it's one that they need to focus on. And the rest of the season, I believe, is contingent upon how well the offensive line gels, and if they can just protect Wilson for a half second longer, if not more, than they have been so far. So offensive line is key moving forward. This team has the wherewithal and the backbone to pull this off, but they're going to have to step it up front in order to make the playoffs or win the division. And this has been Zorn76 with the Seahawks rant.
Holy shit, it's the second quarter.
Yes, welcome to the second quarter of your 12th Man Fan Jam show as we take a look back to the Lions game from Monday night. Remember to join our 12th Man Fan Jam show group on Facebook. Email us at 12thmanfanjam@gmail.com and Seahawk Positivity on Twitter. The second quarter of this show is brought to you by our sponsor, the Cincinnati Bengals alarm clock. Only works from September to December. Okay, so let's talk about last week's game. Monday night, heavy favorites, the Seahawks. The Lions haven't won a game, and then it came down to one singular play. I know that 2 of us were at that show, or at that game, not the show, and that was Will and Dustin. So we'll start with you, Will. What is your overall view of that game?
Well, Moses, at halftime, even after the ridiculous way that first half ended with starting out first and goal and then having to kick a 51-yard field goal, I was actually feeling fairly confident about the whole thing. I mean, the crowd was getting into it. We'd moved the ball fairly well, again, towards the end, except for the end in the second quarter. And I thought a couple adjustments and we'd be doing fine. And then it's just like the wheels just fell off. And that second half, I was just getting angrier and angrier. Not just the protection, but the fumbles. Our defense was stopping Detroit, but a sack or a turnover really could have worked wonders. And into the game, I seriously thought we'd lost it. That whole last drive, I saw Johnson make that catch, and I thought, well, here we go. So thank goodness for Cam Chancellor, and all the national media is talking about is that stupid illegal bat call. I'm sorry, but if Wright had known about that call and had tried to recover it, there was nobody else close to it anyway. Yeah. That was our ball. That was our game. Maybe we deserved to piss it away at the end, but we didn't. And the ugly wins count too. But
absolutely,
I was not happy, to be honest.
Well, we've had those ugly wins in the past. I know, during the season, and when you look back, you just see a W there and you move on. We'll get to the batted ball here in a minute. Dustin, what's your thoughts on the game from where you were sitting?
Well, I mean, great to get the win. That was the important thing, but it was frustrating. The energy in the building was great, which was fun, but overall it was a frustrating win. Again, they're just kind of methodically, I guess I don't even want to say methodically, they're just slowly moving through the game on offense. Again, they can't get out of their own way, which is frustrating. But I tell you what, Cam Chancellor's made a huge difference in the defense since he came back. That has been a lot of fun to watch. And he sure made Calvin Johnson have a bad day, which was really enjoyable. He was all over Calvin.
I just wish he could have popped Golden Tate.
Yeah. That would have been nice.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
We had our first big Cam hit since he came back too, which was awesome. On Calvin earlier in the game. Before that nice play at the end that he made. So that was when he hit him, the place erupted. Like, oh, that's a cam hit. That's what we've been waiting for.
Right,
That's,
right.
The boom
The
is
fact that he
back in
didn't
the
even
Legion.
fall. The fact he just like hit him and stood there. That's my favorite. My favorite is that, and then if you had the reverse angle where you see Golden Tate go, you like lean like, oh, you knew it was coming.
That
I
was-
love
that was
view.
great.
That's awesome. If you haven't seen that, look that up. But see Golden Tate just kind of lean like, oh, I know it's coming, and that was cool too. Mark, I know what Mark thought of the game because he texted me during the game, and stuff like we should be up 23-3. That defense is for real. Just want to win this game. Turnovers killing our drives. We escape. Beyond lucky. Thank you, Cam. So you guys weren't watching the game on TV like I was, and I'm going to ask Matt here in a minute and Mark what they thought of the game. But I want to share this about the batted ball. Everything was done. The players were off the field. They were recapping the game. It was maybe 15. I mean, it was a long time after the end of the game. And all of a sudden, they said, well, we've got something. And they go, if you haven't seen it, they go up to the retired referee who said that should have been a penalty. And they come back down to the field, and Steve Young and Ray Lewis are priceless because they're both looking at each other like, what? What? And Ray goes, that happens all the time. And Steve goes, yeah. He goes, now I have to ask, and this got the ref mad because he goes, I think it was Steve Young that said, is this a new rule? Because like when we play, that happened all the time. And he got like the ref got really pissy, and he's like, oh no, it's been on the rule book for 36 years. Blah, 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 blah. And the guys are like, is this really a rule? It was so funny the way that the players that have played reacted. Because they both look at each other like, is he kidding? Is it really? That's a rule? So nobody knew this thing.
Yeah, I certainly didn't know. And I didn't see it happen in the stadium either. I was completely oblivious to it. I didn't see it happen.
It was reviewed. No one complained. It was done deal. It was well after, and all of a sudden this popped up.
Well, Moses, it's kind of funny because I drew a lot of parallels between this game and the Green Bay Monday night game 3 years ago. Both of them ended on a last ditch effort. Both of them were in my corner of the field. And in both cases, we had no idea in the stadium there was anything controversial about it. So we're just going nuts. It's like everything's great. I get into the bar after the game and looking up on the screen, it's like, there should have been a penalty. What? What are you talking about? So I guess there's just something whenever we have the NFC North come in for a Monday night game.
Yeah.
So
I had that same.
Oh, go ahead.
I had that same reaction with the Green Bay game. We had no idea anything was off about it, and I had the exact same situation. I go into the bar and hanging out, and I see it on the screen, and people are talking about how that shouldn't have been a catch. I saw it up there. I was like, oh yeah, I can see why that's controversial. I had no idea in the stadium though.
So Matt, what's your view of the game overall, minus the batted ball? And let's be honest, there was no one in the vicinity. The ball was probably going to head out of bounds anyway. I think it's kind of overblown myself. But what did you think of the game, Matt?
I think it was a poor game. It was, you can't. Our offensive, we can't talk about this game and not mention the offensive line.
Yes.
Which appears to have, just holes everywhere.
Yes.
And if you watch some of the plays, people are just literally walking straight past them. I mean, it's
3 or 4 Lions at a time. Yeah.
And it's like, how the hell has that sort of deteriorated? I know they're new. I know they've been moved around and they're inexperienced, and I know they're a work in progress, but can we get a leader in that team? And the center, those snaps were all over the place. And I have to give Wilson a little bit of due, I suppose, for this, but he had snaps going far left, far right, up, down, low, high. None of them were consistent whatsoever, and that makes it harder for him. He can't get his footwork right. He can't get himself set ready to throw. If he's having to adjust, so that's a problem. Yes, Russell kept plays alive. Yes, he managed to make some plays, but you got to hold on to the ball. You can't fumble. He knows that. You just can't. I'd much rather you just sat down and took the sack at the line if that was the case. He should have handed it off. He didn't. There's a lot of mistakes in there, I suppose. But if we're looking for some plus points, we didn't give up. Yeah, we got to that last play. It would have been very easy for the defense just to say, do you know what, sod it. Because it's Calvin Johnson. All of this, it's just fate that we were going to lose that game. But they didn't give up, and they kept on playing, and they kept on, doing what they do. As for that ridiculous batting the ball out nonsense. No one knew that was a rule. Nobody.
No.
The commentators didn't. The refs if the back judge did, and he said eventually that he did, and he didn't think it was overt, then that's his decision. That's what he's paid to make that decision.
Right.
To have the vice president of officiating, masquerading around like some media whore, going on and on about that should have been this. I think that was overt. That should have been called. Do you know what? If you think that, mate, put a shirt on. Pick up a flag and stand on that line and make that call. Because it's all very easy for you to sit in New York and make a call like that with action replay going backwards and forwards. That penalty's not reviewable, so he didn't get the chance to review anything. So at the end of the day, if you want to second guess your own back judges and make them and undermine their authority on games like this, pick up a shirt, pick up a flag, pick up a whistle, and stand there and make the call. Otherwise, shut your mouth.
I dig that. Kids dig it.
Matt had an unscheduled rant here.
Yes,
he did. Stormy, your thoughts on the game?
Well, first off, Matt's rant there was much more polished and better than mine. So thank you.
Several fewer expletives too.
Yeah.
And well, you can't beat that accent, no matter what. And he's spot on as usual. And this game, guys, I'm just parroting thoughts from you and what I've read on Seahawk fan sites. It was so frustrating. First up, before I forget, my neighbor, actually a friend of my neighbor, the game, since Seattle did not win by enough points, that game cost him $300.
Oh,
yay!
Wow.
Gambling doesn't pay, kids.
It pays the house.
And given the crappy beer he drinks, that's a lot of cerveza in his world.
Cerveza, all right.
But it was just so frustrating because it just felt like I was just like, as I texted Dennis, and actually my texts were by and large rather tame and somewhat positive. So
yes.
My sponsor will be happy. But the thing is I just kept waiting, like we all were, for that knockout punch with a team like the Lions who are on the ropes anyway. All it takes is a touchdown to go up by 14 or whatever, and they're already going to panic because they're panicking to begin with, and then when the fumble happened and it's run back for a touchdown, that reminded me of that was like a Seahawks relapse. That reminded me of Seahawks past teams that would find a way to blow the game outright.
Exactly.
And of course, this group has just enough wherewithal and determination to not let that happen. But it was so frustrating. And then, of course, Wilson is just getting killed and made some remarkable plays as usual, scrambling and making completions. And but if I pretend to be a network pundit here, it's like Frank RW is on pace to be sacked 72 times this season. And 18 times after 4 games, and now we're on the road, and it's just like they got to find a way to to stop the bleeding. It's just
especially the offensive line.
It's just it's like it's like trying to be the medic and Saving Private Ryan. We stopped the bleeding. We stopped the bleeding. It's a sieve.
Yeah. Well, I got to give the Lions, before we go to 2-minute warning, or actually our caption picture, I have to give the Lions credit. I said that they would fold under the pressure, that when the game was on the line and Stafford would have to start throwing the ball, that they would make a costly mistake, and I guess they did because they fumbled. But let's be honest, they drove all the way down there, and he drove them all the way down to the 20, and then some, and they did not fold up their tent and go home as I thought they would. And hats off to Stafford, because he put together a nice drive there at the end. And Cam just made an outstanding play. And sometimes you're going to get those. Remember a couple years ago, we go to the Super Bowl, but the Rams had us at, 4th and goal, only down by 4 points or 5 points, and we had to do a goal line stand to win that game. 12-9 or something ridiculous, 13-9, I think. So, and while we look back on that game and just say, hey, we won that game, and you move on, I think this is going to be like that. I think at the end of the year, we're going to look at this game and say, hey, we won. Doesn't matter how, it's just a W, and you move on.
And that game got us the NFC West title, too.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
in mentioning the Rams there, kind of reminded me of, I think it was last year, Earl Thomas had a similar play to what Cam did. you remember,
Yes, sure did.
he was,
Against
he was
Rams.
leaning for the goal line. Yeah, and he
Yeah.
karate chopped the dude's wrist and knocked the ball out.
And pretty much saved our home field advantage right there. Exactly.
But how little impact did Golden Tate have on that game though? Really, he had one catch for 22 yards. I think that was his longest. And it's like that's it. That's it. That was all that skill has somehow got completely neutralized by our defense.
He did that when he was here too. He would have games where he would just disappear. I mean, the NFC Championship game against San Francisco, he was nowhere to be found, and we were and didn't know he was a psycho at that point. So that would have been the game for Tate to step up, and he didn't. So I mean, the guy's got talent, and he shows up a lot of times, but he does disappear a lot too.
He does. Well, something that doesn't disappear from our radar in the second quarter is we like to take a picture from the game that the Seahawks play the week before, and do a little thing we like to call caption that picture. Yes, caption that picture, where we take a picture from the game and we give our own caption. And this picture is very unusual. It's a picture of our friend Michael Bennett, who apparently is now a cheerleader. He has grabbed some pom-poms and is cheering along with the cheerleaders. So, Will, do you have a caption for this?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, Will, caption that picture.
Give me an R, give me an A, give me an I-S-E. Raise, raise, give me a raise.
That's brilliant. That was beautiful. Matt, do you have a picture to caption?
I don't have a picture to caption, but I have a caption for the picture.
Well, all right. Hey, Matt, caption that picture.
In an effort to demand yet more money from the Seahawks, Michael Bennett has started yet another job within the team to add to the other 4 he claims he does, but that doesn't get paid for.
Zorny, you got a caption?
I do.
Hey, Zorny, caption that picture.
Caption: I will take these pom-poms and the cheerleader they belong to go, please.
Dustin, you got a caption?
I do. It's very similar to Matt's, though. So.
That's all right. Hey, go for it. Caption that picture.
All right. Taking a different approach than Cam to get more money from the Seahawks, Michael Bennett has decided to show the team how truly versatile he is.
Nice. And my caption that picture is the following, and it's actually clean this week, so you should be proud of me. I know. Here it is. Man, that defense had to do everything Monday night. He pretty much did it all. All right.
Yeah.
And speaking of doing everything, it's time to look over our predictions, prognostication, and game balls and a 2-minute warning.
Holy shit, it's a 2-minute warning.
All right, it's our 2-minute warning. That's time to look back at the predictions from the week before. Wendy was our guest, and here are our score predictions. As you see, our score predictions look like Matt was the closest at 27-20. He had the narrowest margin of victory, and it wasn't too bad, Matt. So congratulations, Matt. You get our
Point.
points for that. You get a whole point for that.
I'm
Get
going to sit down
excited.
now. My job is done.
Your job is done. Prognostications, actually, Wendy got pretty good. She said Wilson 260 passing yards. He got 267. The rest of us were kind of, not really that close, so we're going to give that to Wendy. Game balls, Wilson, Rawls, Wagner, Sherman, Thomas, and Rawls. There's not a whole lot to pick there. I don't know. Wagner, to me, seemed to be having a pretty darn good game, especially compared with those guys. So I gave it to Dustin, which means our week 4 scores were this. Dustin 3, Matt 1. Guest 1, which means now our overall scores look like this through 4 games. Dustin 12, Will 11, I have 10, Mark has 7, Matt has 5, and our guests have 4. And that means it's halftime.
Holy shit, it's halftime.
Yes, it's time to get ready for the best Seahawk-themed trivia show on the internet that you can play along with. Another can't-miss edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia is coming up next.
Hey, this is Matt, all the way from merry old England, and you're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam.
Yes, it's halftime, and welcome to another fun-filled edition of the best play-along Seahawk-themed trivia game show on the internet. It's time for 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia with your host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity. Yes, thank you, me, and welcome to the 12th Man Fan Jam Halftime Trivia, the game where you, the listener, and the viewer can play along with the posse while I subject them to trivia questions based on the Seahawk opponents. This week, our contestants are the posse themselves, Matt, Will, Mark, and Dustin, and here are the rules. So here's how the trivia game works. There will be 2 rounds of questions. Each contestant answers 1 question each round. If they get it correct, they get 1 point. After 2 rounds of questions, there will be a final trivia question worth 2 points. If there's a tie after that, then the tied players go on to a special secret overtime question where the winner becomes reigning 12th Man Fan Jam Trivia Champion and gets to have a special 60-second rant between the first and second quarter of the very next episode of the 12th Man Fan Jam Show. As an added bonus to those listeners on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel, the questions and possible answers will be displayed on your screen, so you, the viewer and listener, can play along as well if you wish. If you'd like to play along, please let us know how you did on the questions. Remember, there's no Googling, no phone a friend, and please, no wagering. However, there is a lifeline for each of the contestants. Before the taping of this show, my 2 charming Seahawk fan children, Mosette and Little Mo, did take this quiz. And if the contestants want to know what the kids said, they may ask that only once during the entire game show and only during the first 2 rounds. Now let's get ready to play 12th Man Fan Jam Trivia. Okay, the rules have been laid out, so let's pick our questions for round 1. The topic, gentlemen, round 1 is Bengals. Bengals for round 1, and our defending champion will pick first, and that will be Mark. Mark, our defending champion, what question would you like, sir, between 1 and 4?
I'll do RW's number 3.
We will go with Matthew. 1, 2, or 4?
2.
2. Dustin, 1 or 4?
I'll go 1. I want to have a lead at some point during this game.
Okay. Ooh, he's going to take the ball and he's going to score. Will, you're going to go with 4 then?
I want 6.
Too bad. All right, here we go. There is 1 goofy question in a set of 4, but the rest of them are actually about the Bengals. So maybe you lucked out. Maybe you didn't. We'll see. Dustin, are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Question 1. Dustin, the Bengals have retired only 1 number in their history. What is that number? Is it 14, 45, or 54? And here's some Oregon, baby! 1 number retired by the Bengals. 14, 45, or 54?
45?
He says 45. By the way, remember, you can ask Little Mo. And Mrs. Mo had to step in for Mosette this week because Mosette was busy with her band competition, so she couldn't answer the questions. So it's actually Little Mo and Mrs. Mo, by the way. But you said, what number did you say, sir?
I said the correct number, Dennis.
Oh, he got the right answer. Congratulations! He got the right... No, yeah. Nice try.
It's that easy?
Wow.
That easy.
14, 45, or 54. What do you got?
I said 45, and I have absolutely no idea.
He said 45. He has absolutely no... Well, Mrs. Mo and Little Mo said 14. And you're all wrong. It's 54. Bob Johnson. Remember Bob Johnson? We all remember Bob Johnson. Bob Johnson, retired Bengal. That's who. Dustin, sorry you didn't get a point. Matt.
Blast, hard cheese, thick, McRun fast.
I love it. Oh,
Yes,
my
I'm
Mystery
ready.
Science Theater friends. You got to love that. That's the best names ever. You can get all those names on a shirt, by the way. Well.
Crunch butt steak.
Oh, Matt, are you ready?
Yes.
Guess what, Matt?
What?
Glass Tiger had their first top 10 hit in America in 1986.
Who?
With Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone. They're a Canadian band. I thought you might know them.
They
Anyway,
have bands? Okay.
they have bands in Canada.
Jeez.
What famous Canadian singer sang with Glass Tiger on that song? Was it Anne Murray, Bryan Adams, or Mike Reno? Are you a big fan of Glass Tiger, are you?
I have no idea. Give me the names again.
Anne Murray, Bryan Adams, or Mike Reno? Who sang with Glass Tiger in their hit, 1986 hit, Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone? Went to number 2 in America. Went to number 1 in Canada. And apparently in the UK, it didn't go anywhere because you never heard of it.
I have no idea. Can I ask? Oh, let me ask. Let me ask the kids and Mrs. Mo.
Okay, he's going to ask the kids and Mrs. Mo. Mrs. Mo said Bryan Adams, and Little Mo said Mike Reno. By the way, Mike Reno is the lead singer of Loverboy, if you're interested.
No, the only one I know, the only Canadian singer I know out of all of those is Bryan Adams. So I'm happy with Bryan Adams.
That's who I would
Bryan
have
Adams.
Yeah.
Well, here's your musical answer, right?
Is that Celine Dion?
Yep. That was Bryan Adams you heard. Bryan Adams.
Who sounds a lot like Celine Dion, apparently.
Yeah, and
The Canadian
so there you
government
go.
has
Bryan
apologized
Adams
for many
sang with
occasions
Glass
for Bryan
Tiger
Adams.
on their hit. Don't
That's
forget me when
fiction.
I'm gone.
I always thought that was
boy.
a Bryan Adams song. I
I just love the fact that Matt picked the one question out of the whole lot that has nothing to do with the Bengals. All right,
Bengals.
Mark, are you ready?
I am as soon as my panic attack ends from hearing that musical clip. One moment.
All right. Mark, your question is this. In 1968, the Bengals played for the first time, and they had their very first win. Who was the very first team the Bengals beat in the regular season? Was it the Broncos, the Bills, or the Chargers? First win for the Bengals. Did it come against the Broncos, the Bills, or the Chargers?
Oh, wow. Boy, I love this one. Broncos, Bills, or Chargers. Holy cow. You know what? Jesus, what a random thing. I'm going to go ahead and say the Broncos.
He's going to say the Broncos. Mrs. Mo said the Bills. Little Mo said the Chargers. But guess what? It was the Broncos! 24-10.
Wow.
Bengals first win. How about that?
Well, I channeled the power of Matt. That was pure guesswork. And I'm picking it up through cyber osmosis. So I'm
you guys are 2 out of 3. And I tell you what helps too is when you hear a little Glass Tiger. You hear a little Glass Tiger, baby. Makes everything better. There it is. Don't forget me when I'm gone. How much more 80s can you get? Okay, Will, here we go. You ready?
How did I make it out of that decade alive?
Oh dear Lord, I don't know how we.
Lots of hairspray.
Yeah, lots of hairspray. Will, how many NFL MVPs have the Bengals have? Have they had 0, 1, or 2? How many MVPs have the Bengals actually had? 0, 1, or 2? And of course, the bargain for you.
I sure can't think of any, but they could have had one back in the 60s or 70s that I'm unaware of, so I'm going to go with 1.
He goes with 1. Little Mo said 0. Mrs. Mo said 1. It's 2. Ken Anderson in 1981 and Boomer Esiason in 1988. NFL
I was
MVP.
wondering if Boomer had won one.
Yeah, he won one.
See,
I
never
that's
thought he
2
did.
years.
I thought it was the only one I could think of who was worthy was Anthony Munoz, but he's an offensive lineman.
Right.
So.
Well, that was
What about
both years
good
the
old
Bengals
number
went to the Super Bowl
54?
too. Well, see,
Good
now
old
that was no MVPs. Go figure. All right, we go to round 2, but before we do, we recap the scores. Matt and Mark tied at 1. Dustin and Will at 0. This is going to be Seahawks and Bengals. For round 2, and we will start with our champ, Mark. 5, 6, 7, or 8, Mark.
I will go number 6.
Matt, 5, 7, or 8.
Because he had such a great day, I'm going to go for 8.
Okay. Dustin, 5 or 7.
Well, I think I will go with 5.
All right. Well, you know what you got. You got number 9. All right. Here we go. Dustin, starts with you.
All right.
These games, by the way, 4 questions about games between the Seahawks and the Bengals. Games that I personally actually attended to all of these. So I was actually there for all these games. So that's very exciting. Okay. Number 5, Dustin. The Seahawks played the Bengals in Cincinnati in 1989, and Largent made his 100th career touchdown catch in that game in Cincinnati. How many yards was his catch? Was it 10 yards, 15 yards, or 20 yards? How many yards was Steve Largent's 100th career touchdown catch? 10, 15, or 20?
I'll go 20.
He's going to go 20. Little Mo went 15. Mrs. Mo went 20. And it was 10. Sorry. 10-yard pass right in front of me. I jumped up. A guy next to me jumped up, and nobody else did. And we sat back down because we thought we were in trouble. But anyway, Dustin, that's okay. Don't worry. We got the final question. We're 2 points. So we now go to Mark. Mark, number 6. When the Seahawks played the Bengals in 93, what offensive lineman was actually credited with a 4-yard reception? There was a tipped ball, batted around. Lineman caught it, ran 4 yards, and it was a 4-yard reception. Was that Ray Donaldson, Ray Roberts, or Andy Heck? Who has the 4-yard reception for the Seahawks in 1993?
Let's see. Repeat the names: Heck, Robinson, and Roberts.
Ray Donaldson, Ray Roberts, Andy Heck.
Oh wow, jeez. Damn. You know what? I'm gonna say Roberts.
You're gonna say Roberts. This guy actually came up to me when I was getting autographs for the team and said, "They never put me on the cover. I'm going to have to catch a pass next week to get on the cover." Which is pretty funny. Mrs. Mo and Little Mo said Ray Donaldson. Correct answer? It's Ray Roberts. Ray Roberts. Mark has 2 now. Mark 2 for 2. Matt has brought you good luck.
I was almost gonna say what the heck and go with Heck, but
what the heck and go with Heck. Will, number 7. Also in 93.
Don't forget me. Oh, sorry.
This is also an audio question in a way. Also in 93, that same game, why did Bengal head coach Sam Wyche grab the PA microphone? The guy that did the PA actually walked the sidelines, which is unusual. And at one point, Sam Wyche went over and grabbed the PA microphone. Why? Was it to get the crowd in the game? Was it to complain about a call in the game? Or was it to tell people to stop throwing stuff onto the field? Why did Sam Wyche grab the mic in 93?
It was to tell people to stop throwing stuff on the field because you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati.
Awesome moment. I love that moment. And here it is live.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here. You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So that, of course, means you're right. You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati.
And I'm
awesome
off the
moment.
schneid. Woohoo!
Yeah, off the schneid. And final question goes to Matt. 2007 game.
Yeah.
In Seattle, the Seahawks beat the Bengals in 2007. Yes. And who caught the winning touchdown pass? Was it Deion Branch, Bobby Ingram, or Nate Burleson?
Oh, it was Nate Burleson.
Oh, it was. Listen to him. Oh, it was Nate Burleson. He just knows. Well, Little Mo thought it was Deion Branch, and Mrs. Mo thought it was Bobby Ingram. But yep, you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could pretty much rule out Deion Branch just on principle.
Wow.
He probably wasn't playing.
You guys, as a group, actually, Deion was playing in that game, and I think he had the touchdown before it.
Oh wow!
It was a beautiful pass. Yeah. Well, look, you guys as a group answered 5 out of 8, right? That's pretty good. Matt with 2, Mark with 2, Will with 1. Dustin, you can still tie them up with our final question. Our final question, of course, is a number. And our order will go Dustin, Will, Matt, and Mark. And, of course, the closest without going over gets 2 points. And if everybody's over, the closest to the number gets the 2 points. So, final question. And we will start with Dustin. Dustin, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
We're 2 points. Dustin, the last time the Seahawks, woo, yikes.
We get enough of that online.
Please don't comment on that. The last time the Seahawks won in Cincinnati was 1993. How many yards rushing did Chris Warren have in that game? Chris Warren was the rusher for the Seahawks in that game. How many yards did Chris Warren have in that game in 1993, Dustin?
87.
Dustin says 87. Will, how many yards rushing did Chris Warren have in that game?
I'll go 67.
He'll go 67. Matt, how many yards rushing?
66.
66. Mark, we have 66, 67, and 87. How many yards rushing did Chris Warren have in that game?
In the spirit of the year the game was played, I will say 93.
Say 93. So here we are. Matt with 66. Will with 67. Dustin with 87. Mark with 93. The total number of yards that Chris Warren had in 1993 when the Seahawks beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati is 75. That means the winner's taking it all, and that's Will.
Well, Will.
Congratulations, Will.
Definitely an 80s theme to this trivia contest here.
Absolutely. Little 80s theme. Will has won another exciting, amazing, action-filled, award-winning version of Halftime Trivia. Coming up, we talk about the upcoming game between your Seahawks and the Cincinnati Bengals. We make our predictions for the Rumble in the Jungle. But first, let's go eat.
I think it's supper time.
And now it's time to see what the Reverend Moses has on his menu for this week's game. Moses, what's cooking?
Yes, this is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church Seahawk Positivity with this weekend's supper menu. This Sunday during the Seahawks-Bengals football game, I encourage all Seahawk fans to eat the following: some delicious Skyline chili, a Mario fettuccine alfredo, some Jake fried Fisher, a nice helping of AJ green beans, and some Brandon tater tots. Bon appetit!
Holy shit, it's the third quarter.
Welcome to the second half of episode 313 of your 12th Man Fan Jam show. I am your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church Seahawk Positivity, and the third quarter is brought to you by our sponsor, When in Cincinnati. Don't forget to stop by and see the Pete Rose Rose Garden and Casino. That's right. We'll bet you'll enjoy yourself there. Okay. It's time for a new feature, but before we get there, I want to congratulate Will on a hard-earned halftime victory. Will, congratulations.
Thank you, Moses. I need a drink to celebrate. Do you have any ideas?
Well, it just so happens it's time for our delicious drink of the week.
Son of a bitch! Give me a drink!
Yes, drink of the week, where our 12th Man Fan Jam mixologist Moses, which is me, conjures up a delicious drink based upon the Seahawk opponent. So, gentlemen, belly up to the beer bar and get your pencils and paper out there. We're going to put together a new drink that you've never heard of, I'm sure. This week we're going to take some Ben & Jerry's ice cream, some Galliano vanilla liqueur, and some Red Stripe beer. So we have Ben & Jerry's ice cream, Galliano vanilla liqueur, and some Red Stripe beer. And we're going to make a Bengal Stripes. Bengal Stripe. So, your Bengal Stripe. One drink, and you're asking everyone who day.
Glug, 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 glug.
Two drinks, you're falling short of your destination. And 3 drinks, your hair turns red and you can't hit any targets. All right, that's your drink of the week. Figure it out if you don't know. By the way, disclaimer, the 12th Man Fan Jam does not advocate drinking or mixing the drinks discussed here. Do so at your own risk. Please be aware that Moses on the 12th Man Fan Jam is not a licensed drinkologist, nor does he pretend to even be one, even if he sleeps in a Holiday Inn the night before. In fact, Moses can't make a decent drink ever. Even his milkshakes suck. So does his Kool-Aid. He once mixed root beer and root beer schnapps once. Really, what kind of person does that and thinks it's a good idea? So attempt the previous drink at your own risk, and remember that this was done for entertainment purposes only, and always, as always, remember to drink responsibly. Okay. This quarter, we talk about injury stats and the line of the game for your Seahawks in their upcoming game against the Bengals. We start with Medic Matt. Matt, what is a key injury in this game on Sunday?
Well, Moses, we're a bit banged up in certain areas. 2 areas to be precise. One's running back and one is cornerback, really. We've got Marshawn Lynch will be out. Not going to be playing. he had limited practice on Thursday, but his hamstring, apparently he caused some further damage to it on the 4th down conversion that I think he did. So he's out. And that's just it. And also, Fred Jackson is also questionable. He had limited practice on Friday. I think he was rolled up upon, if memory serves, wasn't he?
Yeah, they said it was a high ankle sprain, but those last forever, so it couldn't have been that bad.
Yeah,
though.
Couldn't have been that bad. But he had limited practice Friday, but he's questionable for the game. Not sure whether he'll be there or not. But that's an area of concern. But so is cornerback, because Marcus Burles, who's slot corner, I think, remember, is out with a broken thumb, and he's going to need some surgery on that. And Harold Simon, my dear friend Harold Simon, has a toe injury. So he's not available either. So he's put his foot in it again somewhere. But basically, injury-wise, it's running backs and cornerbacks.
Running backs and quarterbacks. Mark, how big is the Marshawn injury?
Well, I mean, it's big, and I was surprised when I heard it because I thought for sure he'd be back. I thought, maybe he'd even be pressing. Maybe he did. Maybe he's pressing to get back, and then they decided, I mean, he's got to be hurt, serious enough to miss this game because this is huge. And that means it's even more, more of a load to shoulder for Rawls, and that's asking a lot of a young guy to take that on, and it just really, I mean, it just changes the game plan, or it changes the true threat of our typical game plan being carried out, because Lynch, moving forward beyond this, obviously we just need Beast, and I think we're going to need him healthy if we, when I'll say we get into the playoffs and all that, but it's a huge loss. So
it is. Will, what do you think about the injuries? Burley is the thumb. Can they just put a mask, like a cast on him? Can he play with one hand?
Well, he did have surgery this week. Carroll said it went really well, and he should be back in about 3 weeks or so. Thorold Simon, Carroll also said that the toe just keeps dislocating. It's done it multiple times. My guess is sometime on Saturday we'll learn that he's been put on IR, and we've brought up Rod Smith from the practice squad for depth at halfback. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, our nickelback is going to be Deshaun Shedd. He's done well.
He has done well.
Our dime back will be Stephen Terrell, who... Yeah, I don't know. Who knows what that will be, but yeah, it's just a couple areas where we really can't afford to be any thinner on.
Right, I agree. Dustin, what do you think? The defensive backfield which is bigger, the defensive backfield or Marshawn?
I think it's Marshawn because we don't have a lot of other Pro Bowl caliber running backs back there, but we still have Sherman and Chancellor and Earl and the starters over there. So I think Marshawn's a bigger deal. But to be honest with you, if I was Marshawn looking at that offensive line, I don't know that I'd be in a hurry to come back either. So.
Sad but true. Yeah, sad but true. Speaking of important stats, and of course running would be an important stat. I don't want to steal your thunder there, Zorny. You're a stats man, Mark. Give us a important stat for this upcoming game between the Seahawks and the Bengals.
Well, in the spirit of slow first half starts, this is such a. I mean, every game's a big game, but this is really. Especially big just because the Bengals are really, this feels different for Cincinnati, first off, and that's, I'm parroting and echoing what I've heard and read, that they seem to be, as good as that record indicates, by all accounts. And, our slow starts, we cannot dig ourselves a hole, especially on the road. So my stat is for us to have a legit shot at winning this game, I think we have to be at 14 points by halftime. And I think if we have 14, we'll be in the vicinity, maybe even ahead, maybe slightly behind. But I think we have to have a good first half on the road and change that trend and have 2 TDs by halftime. And in the second half, we typically pick it up. I think we need 14 to legitimately be in this game in the first half.
I think that's a fair assumption, Matt.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think if we do dig ourselves a hole, we're not getting back. I can't believe we'll get back from that.
Yeah, I agree. Will, what are your thoughts on the stat? Or is there any other stat that we're missing? I think that's a good stat. We have to have 14.
It would help. I mean,
Yeah.
but we saw last week, though, we need 2 good halves. I mean,
Right.
just getting points in the first half doesn't help if it shuts down in the second like before.
Yeah, absolutely. Dustin, what is the line in this game?
All right, so the Bengals are now favored to win by 3
Okay.
in this game. So
That seems fair. What's the over-under?
43 is the over-under, which
3.
which with the way the Hawks offense has been playing seems pretty high to me.
Yeah. So you're taking the under? Matt, would you take the Matt over or under on the 43?
Oh, I don't care.
Matt
all this
doesn't
betting.
care.
I
Matt
just
never
don't care.
cares.
No, I don't bet. I'd take the over.
Will, over under?
Over, just barely.
Zorni, what are your thoughts?
I would take the over because I think what I didn't get to is I think we're going to need a minimum of 27 to win this game. So I'll go with the over.
That's a little preview for next quarter. Well, we want to remind you that the 12th Man Fan Jam Show does not endorse betting on anything at any time. These numbers have been presented for entertainment purposes only. Please don't take those numbers or anything we say on the show seriously ever in your entire lifetime, please. Thank you, gentlemen. You've got us set up for very nicely for our predictions. So let's go ahead and go to the fourth quarter.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
Yes, coming up next in the fourth quarter, it is time to put all this knowledge between the Bengals and the Seahawks to the test as we do our predictions, our prognostications, and game balls for our upcoming game on Sunday against the Bengals. We'll be right back after this quick station identification. You're listening and watching the 12th Man Fan Jam Show. Free entertainment, worth every penny. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Baby, if you ever wonder which team is the best, don't give a second thought to Cincinnati. Cincinnati, S-U-C-K-S.
And now it's time for the fourth quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to lead us through the final quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, welcome to the fourth quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam Show. It is time now for our predictions, prognostications, and game balls for the Seahawks-Bengals game. This year, we are keeping score on how well our predictions go. The scoring is like this. Anyone who wins a game ball gets 3 points. Prognostications on the button are 3 points. If none, the closest gets a point. Predictions, if both scores are on the button, you get 5. If one team's score is on the button, you get 3. And if nobody is on the button, the closest score gets a point. Right now, our overall scores look like this. Dustin at 12, Will at 11, I'm at 10, Mark at 7, Matt at 5, and our guests are 4. And speaking of guests, our guest predictor this week is none other than John Nicoletta from the state of New York, or New York. Some of you may know him as Albany Hawker on SeahawkBlue.com. And John writes the following. The Seahawks are back, baby, and heading east to hand the Bengals their first loss of the season. The boys in road whites will win 27-12. The defense continues its streak of not giving up an offensive touchdown. The Legion of Boom rears its head in this game, racking up 3 picks and 1 pick six. He did say Marshawn comes back healthy and drops a C note. We'll change that. And he also said at the end to tell Dorothy that we took care of the Lions and Bears and the Tigers are next. Go Hawks! So, in light of the fact that Marshawn is not going to be playing in this game, we are going to give him the game ball to anyone on the LOB. So if anyone in the LOB, Sherman, and we're going to go with the 3 guys, Sherman, Chancellor, and Thomas. If any of them get the game ball, then I'm going to give the game ball to John for that. So, and his prognostication will be, of course, the 3 picks or the 1 pick six. We'll give him either one of those as well, because I'm just a nice guy and he's a guest, and he gets that kind of privileges. Guests do have privileges, and if you would like to be a guest, contact us either on our Facebook page or our 12thmanfanjam@gmail.com. Say, hey, I want to give a prediction this week, because we are going out and helping people give predictions. But if you want to offer one up, we would love to have somebody come on and give a prediction as a guest. But in the meantime, Mark, we're going to start with Mark. Mark, always a pleasure hearing from you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have a score for us?
I do, and I'll stick with the 27 theme. But I think it's going to be much closer, and I'm going to call this 27-24 Seahawks.
Okay.
And let's see, prognostication would be, I think Lockett is going to have a return of either a punt or a kickoff return. Do I have to specify?
No, TD return is fine.
I'll say he'll have another special teams touchdown. And my game ball will go to Chancellor.
All right. Well done. We now go to Will. Hi, Will.
Hi, Moses. How are you?
I'm okay. How about yourself?
Doing well, thank you.
Doing well, good. You got some scores and prognostications and game balls for us?
Oddly enough, I do.
Oh,
I think Seattle is going to come from behind on this one and win 24-21 on a late touchdown. I think my game ball is actually going to go to the Seahawks offensive line. I don't think they're going to be great, but I think if we win, they're going to be better.
Okay.
And quite frankly, I'll take better at this point.
No doubt.
And I think part of the reason they will be better is due to my prognostication. And I pulled this out of Pete Carroll's press conference today also. I think Patrick Lewis will be playing center by the end of this game.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think Carroll was upset. You know, he's been upset over the blocking and the pass blocking and the run blocking, but I think the snaps were from last week were the end of it. And I don't know if Lewis is going to start, but I think sooner or later he's going to play in this game. And I think that's going to be a boost.
You know, they really like him. They really like Patrick Lewis. I mean, even last year they were excited enough to, I'm sure they would have even thought about trading Unger if they didn't like at least Lewis. So.
And Lewis got better as he played last year. Had a rough first game, but by the time Unger came back, he was holding down the fort very well.
I totally agree. I
would take Parker Lewis at this point for center because he can't lose.
Hey, Parker
More
Lewis
80s.
can't lose. Yep.
Yeah, he can't lose. Parker Lewis can't lose. And who else can't lose is Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hello.
What you got for us this evening?
I think the Seahawks are going to win. I think it'll be probably 21-10.
Ooh, okay.
And prognostication-wise, I think it's going to be Tyler Lockett's best game on offense. So I'm going to say he has 6 receptions this game.
Okay. Good deal. And game ball?
Yeah, it's going to go to Lockett. I'm all in on him this week.
Now, just disclaimer here, you cannot combine Tyler and Ricardo. And if they get like 4 catches and 2 catches, that doesn't count.
Damn it, Moses.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry.
I'll go Tyler.
Okay. Matthew from Merry Old England.
Hello.
What you got for us?
Got a bit of a feeling.
I hate when you have those feelings.
Well, this is a pretty interesting feeling because I think that the Seahawks will win this 31-17.
Ooh, okay.
I like that.
Because I don't know, there's something they've pretty much every single part of the Seahawks has had some sort of like piece ripped off them. Whether it's the defensive line, whether it's Wilson himself with his fumbling. So that's been a bit of motivation for them. So 31-17. I think, however, it's going to be a very frustrating day for Jimmy Graham, and so much so that I'm going to give my game ball to Curse, and I think Curse will get 3 touchdowns. Jimmy Graham will get none.
Oh, very nice. All right. Well.
But my prognostication, was just 3 touchdowns for Curse. Not that Jimmy Graham will get none, but Curse 3 DDs.
I'm with you. I guess that leaves me
and
now.
And that Jimmy Graham will be cursing.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he will. Well, the Seahawks head out on the road after healing up at home with 2 road wins, no matter how they happened. And the Bengals are no easy matchup at home or on the road right now. They're gelling pretty well in 4-0. They always seem to gel in October. It's the summer and January when they count as a Super Bowl berth that this team seems to crawl back into the jungle for a nice long off-season hibernation. Problem is that the Seahawks aren't playing them in December. They're playing them in October, and the Bengals look the part once again. However, The Seahawk defense is starting to look its part again, too. And Andy Dalton loves that deep ball. And for that, you need two things, time and bad coverage. And it's two things the Seahawks usually don't like to give out. The Seahawks have proven time and time again, home on the road, they're ready for big games like this. Are the Bengals ready to say the same thing? Look for the Seahawks to get something we have been waiting for all season. Interceptions. 3 of them. Write them down. Look for our game ball to go to Richard Sherman, who will be tested early and often in this game for some reason, and once again will rise to the occasion as he always does, as the Seahawks win this possible Super Bowl preview by a final score of Seahawks 23, Bengals 20. Wow. Looks like it's time to bring another wonderful and amazing 12th Man Fan Jam to a sad close. We are so glad you decided to waste some time with us. It was, as usual, a show that raised the bar here at the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel. We certainly hope you laughed a little and maybe, just maybe, you learned a little something along the way. And what did we learn tonight? Well, we learned that Jerry Jones still loves Glory Hole. We learned that Ryan Tannehill likes to give out scout team trophies for some reason. And of course, we learned that Ricky Jean-Francois wants players to tuck it in. So on behalf of my partner in crime, Matt from Merry Old England, our newshound Shadowhawk Will, Mark the Stats Man, and Dustin as the Beaver, this is your self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity saying enjoying the game Sunday, and go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Yeah.